Another way to solve quadratics is the quadratic formula. So just a brief review, normally the first step that you would do to try to solve a quadratic is to factor it. If it doesn't factor, you would then complete the square. Completing the square is really only easy to do if the lead coefficient is a 1, in this case it's a 3. If the lead coefficient is anything other than 1, then perhaps you would want to use the quadratic formula. Should be noted that the quadratic formula and completing the square are in fact the same thing, only the quadratic formula essentially has all the work done for completing the square and has the variable by itself. So let's write down the quadratic formula, which is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. A is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant. If we plug those numbers in, we're going to get negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 11 squared minus 4 times 3 times 5. Make sure your radical extends over top of all of your numbers. Make sure when you substitute, you use parentheses. This is divided by 2 over a, and a is 3. This simplifies to negative 11 plus or minus square root 11 squared is 121 minus 4 times 3 times 5. If you're multiplying two or more numbers, you can multiply in any order. I'm going to multiply the 4 times 5 and get 20. Multiply that by 3 and get 60. Divided by 2 times 3, which is 6. And then this simplifies to negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 61 over 6. If I then put this into my calculator, keep in mind this is two exact answers. If I want to get some rounded answers, I put this into my calculator twice. I put in one time using the plus and one time putting the minus. I end up with negative 3.14 and negative 0.53. It's important once again when you use your calculator that you do it correctly. Since the numerator is more than one term, it should be in parentheses. And typically your calculator will put a parenthesis before the 61 inside the radical, so make sure you close that parenthesis. That is how you use the quadratic formula.